bringing it up Photoshop / C4D tutorial here today. Yes, that means 3D designs, as you can see for my example here today. A pretty dope little like 3D like geometric kind of thing going on here. So I kind of like really wanted to like do a 3D banner design that like filled space, and I was like, I literally can't think of anything. Like I always just like ended up duplicating my like my text that I had, my 3D text, and like put it in the background. I never really found a way to kind of fill space, so I want to do something really cool, and I went with something pretty simple but pretty effective as well, which is like cubes. Like I literally just went with shapes. So I came up with this design, and also the color correction, or you want to say like I guess color correction, looks really dope. I really like the fact that it doesn't look like it's like a regular Cinema 4D render, if you guys know what I mean. I mean like something like a really high quality render, you know what I mean? I feel like that's what it looks like, and that's what like the really soft shadows really just like portray, and I really want to show you guys how I did this. And of course, do not forget guys, 200 likes on the video equals a secret down below, so do not forget to leave a like, as well as also do not forget to submit for the top 3 designs of the week number 4. I believe right when I'm speaking we have around 50, so we're actually getting really close to like the 100, so go for it guys. It's a really dope series. I really appreciate you guys like supporting the channel. Everything has been like it's been really dope. So if I do not put this in the description down below, let me know. And what I mean is I want to give you guys the materials that I used today. Actually, I can actually show you guys how I did that really quickly. But at least the Lightroom. At least tell me if I did not put the Lightroom in there, and I will do that for you guys. As for the materials that I'm using today, all I did was use my color. It's at about 240, and then we'll say like 250 is the material color of this material, which is the white that I'm going to be using, or this like really nice soft white that I have here. And as for the reflection, there is a reflection on that with, when I go to texture, it's Fresnel, and the mix strength is 9, and the brightness is 8, and the blurriness for the reflection is at 12%. That way when I have my sky HDRI, it won't actually show the sky HDRI, it'll be like a really nice reflection. And for the gold material, the gold is 234, 202, and then 47 for the RGB. Brightness 38. This is for the reflection, and then for the color it's 225, 116, and 61 for the regular color gold. And then my bump, I have the texture, and then I went to noise, and then the noise texture that I have on it is displaced turbulence, as you can see it is right here. And then once you have that going on, you just lower your bump size to about 6%, and now you have the materials that I use for my tutorial here today. So literally this is not the hardest thing in the world. It's actually really easy to do when it comes to like making something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys how I did it. Basically, all I really did was obviously use a cube. Now, what I did was I ended up just like, I'm going to actually make sure my camera is put in the position that I want it at when I render it out. And I would say that's pretty good, and I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so what I'm going to end up doing is you can either use XYZ to like put your size up, right? You can do this if you wish to, but then you see these little yellow squares, and like, okay, I don't see this one though. The orange or the right ones are here. Okay, so you see the green square, like this little green yellow square that's right next to the green arrow and the blue arrow. All this stuff actually fixes the orientation, which means like the sizes are right here. So when you actually do this, you can go about this by using either the yellow squares, like I'm actually going to be doing, or use the size here. But I feel like it's really tedious, and it's really easy to just do it like this. You can't just use a scale tool and like scale it, because of course the scale tool is literally just going to scale the actual size in all total of the actual, you know, cube that you're using here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and like just duplicate the bubble a bunch of times. So I'm going to say about, we'll go for like maybe 6-7 times at first, right? And then I'll add in my like little gold squares just to make sure to have a little bit of contrast of color going in there. And so pretty much what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm just going to use these little yellow squares. I'll make pretty different sizes. Now, what I used for the inspiration for this video was, if you guys don't have a PlayStation 4, I don't either, but I know I played one, and I saw like my friend had this really cool like geometric like cubed theme for his PlayStation 4, and it had something like this. So I really just took about it, and I was like, yo, this is actually pretty cool, and I feel like I can make a design out of it. So all I'm going to be really doing is making sure I have like a whole bunch of different orientations of like the size here. So I have the same length for all these right now. I'm going to actually shrink some of them, and then make some of them maybe a little more bigger, like longer like that. And I also made one have a more flat surface, right? And I'm just going to keep about this. I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate it again. I'm holding control, moving it. And of course, when I do that, I can just make a simple little duplicate without actually going on the cube itself. And I'm pressing Control C and then Control V to actually duplicate it. You can just use Control Drag. It's the same thing in Photoshop as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll make this one like really skinny. And I'll actually make it like this, right? And I'll just keep it close. Now I just want to keep everything pretty close. So I'm going to actually move this a little closer. I'll move this one a little closer. I don't want it to be the same height though. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this one closer but farther down. That's pretty good. This one's there as well. And now I'm gonna make sure also, like I said, is I don't want to have them all the same orientation. So I'm gonna go ahead and shrink this one down a little bit. And then basically, I guess I'll have like 4, I guess, main cubes. And then what I went ahead and did was I made a couple more duplicates, right? So I'm gonna hold Control, take the green arrow, make this nice little duplicate here. And I'm gonna make small little, just like little geometric shapes that I can just put in some spots. So I'll put one like right here, right? I'm just gonna take this yellow or square here, put a little square. So I'm gonna actually just go ahead about this and just make some quick little yellow squares. So, or quick, I don't know why I say yellow squares, quick little squares, and that just can go around and kind of like complement these big ones. So I just actually Control V and Control C V on this cube here to duplicate this one. I'm just gonna make these really small ones, Control C V, and I'll go ahead and make sure that this one goes like over here. And I think this is okay. Now, pretty much this is like the easiest part of this tutorial, right? I'm gonna go ahead and make sure this is a little bit longer. And there we go. I'll say that that's pretty good. And I'm actually gonna like rotate it as well. Why not? Like 90 degrees, yeah. And then something like that. I think that's pretty good. However, I'm gonna actually make another duplicate of this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a nice flat one, but also very long like that. There we go. So it's nothing really crazy. I just really went for it, right? There's nothing crazy that I did. What I'm gonna really quickly do is shift click on all these, Alt G, and we're just gonna call this white material because that's what's gonna have the white material on it. Drag this up a little bit. And now for the actual little, I guess these complementary like little colors of this gold here, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna go and I can either just take a duplicate of this one. I'll just like, I'll do this. I'll just like Control C V and I'll just come out of the group here and I'll have this one right here. And so basically I can just move this over, shrink it, of course. And now I want to keep it pretty close. These little gold squares I'm going to be using, I'm going to keep it pretty close, or cubes or rectangles, whatever the hell you want to call them. I'm just going to keep pretty close to these big ones. I'm just going to make sure that we get, this is going to get added to materials afterwards. But right now this is good. I'm just going to take a duplicate of this. And I don't really need too many of the gold ones. However, whatever works for you is really like whatever works for you. We'll go ahead and give it a 90 degree. There we go. Put one like right there, and then like one just like over here. Make it a little bit bigger. Something like that. And there we go. That'll work. So these 3 cubes will have gold on it. So I'm going to go ahead and Alt G these together. It's have gold on it. So basically what I'm going to have to do now is take my materials, drag it onto each of these groups, make sure I change the projection from cubic, from whatever it is, to cubic, and then seamless. And the same thing for the gold here. It's going to go right there, cubic, and seamless. Now, pretty much this is where the part where it just like gets all, not really complicated, but like really what you really want to see, right, in your design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to group both of these 2 groups together now, that they're both already have the materials on it, group them both in so I can actually just move everything in one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically take an orientation, just kind of like figure out where I kind of want it. So like this is not a bad orientation. It has a lot of different, like, how do you say it? A lot of angles. I'm looking for something like this, right? I want to get a nice capture of like the gold, and also want to make sure that I also put a light. I'm going to take a light really quickly and put a light like over on the right hand side, drop the intensity down a little bit, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here and like just drop it behind here. This is the way I can get a little more tougher shadows going on here. And let's move this up a little bit, and the intensity can stay the same there. So basically this is how I want to have it. So I'm going to render selection really quickly so you can see what I'm going for. But I just want to have these really dope, nice, soft shadows, but also have that gold looking really, really nice. And the color correction itself is going to really create this really dope, soft, like just really soft. It's going to look good, okay? And this is all you really want to do. And once you have this, you're basically good to go. The intensity is a little too much on this light here, so I'm going to lower it down a little bit to like 5%. Because I already have surrounding lights around the entire thing now. I use a camera because I wanted to use this orientation, but I'm going to show you guys. I have lights in this Lightroom all the way around, and also on the top as well, as a little soft box. So I don't really need too much light, but I just want to get a little more light there. This skin as well can probably like decrease itself. I'll put it like 10%. And then basically this is the shape part. So I'm going to render this out. My render settings, as always, is going to just save it into like my desktop, wherever I want to save it to. Make sure the format is PNG. Alpha channel, And I also have ambient occlusion on. You can copy these settings as followed, and then the global illumination, and then sharpen filter, just a little bit of sharpen filter on there, 5%. Now, this is only going to be the other parts. So I'm going to actually just go ahead and group all this together and just hide it all, because this is going to be the part we're going to be using later on. So I'm going to make a new camera, and we're going to call this, new camera, and we're just going to call this one, what are we going to call it? Text, because it's going to be our text camera. So I can go back to render it where I want to actually render out. So basically that was these little parts right here, right? This is that was what we just did. Now I want to make sure to do the text. The text is pretty cool itself, and it's also very easy as well. So what I'm going to do, go to mode graph, mode text, and I believe the font that I used was the Outbox. Again, I believe it's a pretty big use. I've been using that font for a little bit now. Yeah, the Outbox ST. I'm going to go ahead and type in, what did I type in, design or Seso HQ? I typed in design, so I'm going to do the same thing. Go ahead and type in design, all capital letters. And we're going to go ahead and make sure the alignment's in the middle. And the depth itself is 35, I would say. The caps can be on fillet cap, and everything just select to one radius in one step, just like so. And then we have our nice selves like a simple kind of like, without the fillet cap would be really, really sharp. I want to have like a nice little thing about this. So there we go with the fillet cap. And of course the depth itself is at 35. What we're going to do is duplicate this 3 times. Twice more actually. So we have 3 in total. So we're going to take the control, or you can click on the text, control CV, or like I said before, hold control, take the blue arrow, get behind it. Of course, move your camera to the behind, and take the blue arrow, move it backwards, and kind of get it as close as possible to the other one. And however, we're going to lower this depth to about 20 depth or so. And this one's going to have the gold material on it so I can see what I'm talking about. And we'll make sure you always change the projection to cubic and seamless. As for the material here, cubic and seamless. And we're just going to take this and duplicate it one more time. So it's basically a sandwich, right? There we go. It's literally a sandwich, and that's what we want to have. And what I want to have to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to group this together. Why not? So Alt-G. I'm going to change the orientation. Give it a nice little something something, right? So you can see all the triple decker, like trident layer kind of thing going on here. Now, this is the cool part. What we're going to do is I'm making sure I still have my... Okay, I still have everything good with the cameras. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the gold material, which is the middle material, and we're going to click C on our keyboard, which is going to make the actual text editable. You can either do that or right-click, make editable on your actual Cinema 4D. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to break apart each of the letters, but we have to also make sure that this is editable as well. So we're going to have to press C once again, and that way we actually make these into polys, which I can actually go to this little polygons over here, and this way I can actually edit it and kind of extrude things the way I have it over here, right? So what I went ahead and did was, we'll just take this, the camera. What I had and did was when you do this, right, everything's selected right now, so you can either select one letter at a time, it doesn't really matter. I'll just do like E, for example. I'll select the E, and everything is editable. So before we did it, if you press C on your keyboard to make a mode text editable, and you have more, of course, than one letter, it'll first break down the actual letters, so you have each individual letter, but then you have to make sure you make it editable one more time to actually make it into a polygon. So what we do now, I'll click on the letter E over here on my polygons, and you can see it kind of has this little blue highlight around it. So what you're going to do is you're going to select one side of it. Now you can also, if you really want to, is press UL on your keyboard really fast, like just UL, right? It's kind of like a quick selection. You can select everything around it. We don't need to do that, but if for whatever reason you need to know how to do that, that is how you do it. But really what I want to do is really start selecting out one little polygon at first. So I'm going to take this little square, for example, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude it. So inner extrude, or extrude inner, and I'm going to extrude just a little bit. And what I'm going to go ahead and do now is once I literally just like make it a little bit of an extrude there, I'm going to go ahead and right click again and make smooth shift, or like, I don't know why I said make smooth shift. I was going to say make selection, but smooth shift. And there we go. Just literally have to right click, or left click, excuse me, and just click and drag, click and drag toward the right. And you can see it makes it a little bit more bigger, right? And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually do it again, make inner extrude, and do this just like so one more time. Perfect. And now as you can see, that's basically what I did for things like this, right? And now if you really want to, you can also like kind of like recolor everything as well. So if you just like selected this entire piece right here, I'm just holding shift, by the way, so I can select multiple selections. Oh god, my camera. Multiple selections. I think I missed one side. Did I? No, I didn't. But see how everything's selected right there? I can just literally take any material that I have. I can take the white one, for example, and drag it and place it right there on that one. And it should... Oh, hello? Oh, I have to be in front of this, right? I'm not sure why that did that. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to work. But usually, it literally just allows you to drag the material on it. But I'm not really sure why that didn't happen. Okay, that's weird. I'm not worried about... Oh, it's because I didn't have... it's my material. I didn't actually put on each individual layer for the actual mode text. I put it in a group, so it's not going to actually do that. But if you did have it on each individual layer, you saw how I like grouped everything together and then put like one material. That's like a really quick way of doing it. But of course, you actually want to make sure, even stuff like motion design, you want to make sure that each actual letter and text has its own material on it. That way you don't run into problems like this. But if you did that, it would actually be able to recolor. But anyway, this is good for now. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to basically take other selections, right? I'm going to say the I over here. Take this selection over here and just do the same thing. So extrude inner and like smooth shift is basically what you're going to be doing the entire time. Now you don't have to always make a, I guess like the same exact extrude inner. You can always like change it up a little bit. You can like do something like this, extruded inner, and do it like a lot. Oops, I don't want to press UL, my bad. Just select this one, right click, extrude inner. I can make this super skinny and like have this one come out just a tiny bit, right? Just to give it a little something something. And then the N over here, I'll select this side, extruded inner, like super skinny, right click, smooth shift, and make it come out a lot. Or like do it like this and then do it again, extrude inner, make it come out just like that. Like it's kind of just making steps and stuff like that, right? And so basically I do it one more time or something like on the D. Extrude inner, boom, smooth shift. There we go. And I'm pretty sure that's good. I'm okay with this. Yup. And now if you really want to, you can do it for like the back. I wouldn't say do it for the front of the text. Like if you want to do it for the white text, which is which one? It's in this group. And it's not this one, it's this bottom one. Which one is it? That's the top one, and this is the bottom one. So if I want to do it again, I can just do E, of course, or excuse me, C on my keyboard. It'll break it down to each actual letter, and then I'll just shift click on everything and press C again to make it to a polygon. And I can do the same exact thing. I didn't actually do it for my example. Make sure you switch to polygon over here for my example, but if you really want to, you can also do it for these as well. I wouldn't do it as major though, just like something like this, just like little things. I'll do it right now because I feel like it, and I feel like it would look pretty cool, so why not give it a try? Just like do it a little bit. I want to do it too much. And just like a little certain spots to kind of give that little polygon feel a little bit more. I will actually do it for both of these sides. Extrude inner, oops. Extrude inner and then smooth shift. I'll do it like twice. Right? Nothing crazy, nothing hard, nothing at all. And there we go. Basically that's that. And you can't really see the N, but we know it's there, okay? So basically that is how I did the text. There we go. And I'll just like quickly give it a nice little render region. And literally it's not hard at all. So once you have this done, you basically have the hardest part done because the Photoshop part is pretty easy. It's just really color correction and a couple blurs in different spots. So once you have this done, you're good to go. And yeah, that's it. So make sure, of course, you render it out with the settings that I showed before. And we're going to hop into Photoshop and render this all stuff out. Also the other one that we made for the little these little things over here. We're going to render this out as well. And you want to make sure you render this stuff out individually because, of course, if you do not, then you're just going to find yourself in a little bit of a pickle. There we go. Because you don't want to have, like, you don't really want to worry about placing your text in a different spot because this is not in the right spot. So you want to make sure you render out everything individually. There we go. All right, so that's how I want to have it. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to render this out, and we're going to get going. Alright guys, all the renders are pretty much done. As you can see here, I actually did end up changing like little things like changing the orientation of the text, also adding a little more to the text, just give it more little kind of like geometric feel, and also adding a little yellow right here, right? A little yellow cube, just to give it a little bit more yellow in the actual design. Now, that's all I did really, and also just like I said, change the orientation of this and add more little things. So this is like, it was just not really, I wasn't feeling it, so I made sure I fixed it, you know what I mean? So of course, you're probably not going to end up rendering once or twice, or maybe end up like 3 or 4 times rendering. It doesn't really matter, as long as you feel like you like, and you can start designing with the next step, which is bringing it into Photoshop, which I already have it in here. So I have the text here. I have the OG. I called it OG, but this is like the thingamajigger, right? The little cubes for our fill of space. And then also I rendered up some cubes previously. I just put them in here as well because I will be doing that. So basically all I did was literally just take four or five, well, this is four, different cubes, change the orientation, move them around, and space them out in a very, odd, way. So that's all I did, and that is just simply using the same exact material as the other white things right here, right? So that's all I did, and it's just another way to fill space, and also had those white circles, or excuse me, cubes in the background here, also blurred out a little bit right here. So now you're ready to go, right? So the first thing we're going to be doing is we'll center our text really quickly. It's already pretty much centered, right? Our text is good to go. If there's one thing, however, that's going to annoy me, it's going to annoy you possibly once I show you guys and point it out, but if you can tell, when you render things in Cinema 4D, it has this really odd black line around your text. And sometimes it's okay because you usually have a lot of color going on. It's like black background, so it doesn't really matter. However, in a background that's actually set up with this color right here, which I didn't tell you guys, but the background color is B9, C8, and DD. That's basically the little nice little soft kind of like blue that I got going on, which looks really good in the end and contrasts really well with the white text and like this yellow stuff going on here, or gold, whatever we want to say. So yeah, it's really annoying. So the only way I know to fix it is I'm gonna make a duplicate of everything I'm gonna be using, because this is just gonna be the OG copy just in case I ever mess up. That's what you should always do. Never ever mess with the original. Always make a duplicate and a copy of it just to make sure you never mess up. So what I'm gonna do is, when I have my text already centered and stuff, everything's good, because you do not want to actually mess around with the size and everything when it's unrasterized, because it's gonna change the quality, and you want to make sure it's still rasterized when you actually center it, all that cool stuff, and you're like, this is good, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rasterize this text. And then a control click on the thumbnail. You probably seen me do this a bunch of times, but this is the same exact way to do it. Is you control click on the thumbnail. It makes like a nice little copy, or basically a selection around the entire render. What you want to do is go to select, modify, contract. I was going to say contract by. You put one pixel, press OK. And as you can see, it goes from selecting everything on the 1 pixel outside, basically 1 pixel inside, and that's always going to be the case. It's always going to be 1 pixel away from the actual, like, the actual spacing of that. So that's a really easy way to fix it. As you can see, right, go all the way around. And all you got to do now is either press M on your keyboard or go to the rectangle marquee tool. So when it gives you the option to right click, layer via cut, all you got to do is that. And then if I just zoom in, or just like you can see on the black stuff right here, it looks really ugly in my opinion. All you got to do is hide or either delete the bottom layer, and there you go, it deletes it. And it gives it such a better look. In my opinion, it's like really, really annoying if you have like a clean little thing going on, but you have like a black line around it. So I want to make sure you guys understand that that is annoying, and that will make or break the design sometimes. So yeah. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a duplicate of this OG, which is basically these little cool little thingies. What do I call this? Like, it's like my spaceship of color, or my spaceship of cubes. And basically, you just want to kind of mess around with it, right? So I'm going to put one, of course, on the right-hand side, and one, of course, on the left-hand side. Now, if you want to, you can also make 2 different copies of each, for each side. I'm just literally going to take a copy or a duplicate of, the actual same one. I'm just going to change the orientation and flip it horizontal. So all I did was I pressed Alt, drag it, so actually it makes like a really simple, quick little copy of it. Or you can click on the layer itself and press Control J. It'll make a duplicate for you as well. And that way you press Control T, free transform it, right click, flip horizontal, and then move it on like this side here. Looks pretty badass, yeah. And looks pretty good there. Okay, I'm down with that. Alright, so basically now, am I okay with that? Like, I kind of feel like just like do like this. Would that look better? I feel like it look less predictable because you can't really see this one on this one. So I want to kind of like, make it look like 2 different things. Alright, I'm down with that. That looks a lot better. And also it's not in front of the text anymore. I'm down, so we're going to do that. So there we go. So once you find out where you kind of want things at, this is literally the easiest part in this entire tutorial. Is all you got to do is either just take either one, of course. You're going to have to do this for both of them. So make a duplicate of each one. So right now I did the one that's on the right-hand side. So pretty much I'm going to make this a little more bigger, right? I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more. And the way to keep it in the same spot that I have it, right? And it doesn't look, I'm not actually doing like this, right? You can kind of see how the difference is if I do, this over this. I'm actually holding Alt and Shift. That way it keeps in the same exact spot. And it just makes it a little bit more bigger, and you don't have to actually hold Shift and kind of like, it's cooler to hold Alt, in my opinion, okay? So you just make it a little more bigger or smaller. It really depends on what you kind of really want. but basically just want to have it cover up a little more space. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then for the same one over here, I'm just going to make sure so you guys can see which one is which. This is left, and we're about to make the left copy, and it'll make it left copy itself. Make it a little more bigger. Now, I don't want anything really behind the text too much. I think I like this. I do like this. It's pretty good. I'll say right there. So what you can basically do is either group these two left copies, or the ones we're going to blur out, group them together by either control-clicking and pressing Control-G, right, on both of them. That way I'm going to make sure I move them below everything. And you can just make a duplicate of this. We'll just call this OG copies. Make a duplicate of this, Control-J. Group them together, or merge them together by controlling E, and that way we have one single layer of each of these two things. And now you can do this either on separate layers, or you can just make it quick and group them together. It doesn't really matter, because what we're going to be doing to them is going to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, about 8 pixels or so, pressing OK, and this is perfect. It looks good. I love how this is looking so far. Like I said, if you ever want to change anything, you have duplicates of everything, so you can always move everything where you want it and fill more space. Also, these rendered cubes, I'm going to go ahead and throw these in here as well. They're going to be behind my text layer. And there's going to be like sporadically placed. It's just going to fill more space. It really does help to have more than just one thing to rely on. Right? And I want to make it to like, there we go. We'll say like that. Right? There we go. Something like that. And I'm also going to make sure I fix this little black lines around those as well. So I'm going to group these together. Control-click. Select, modify, contract, pressing OK on 1 pixel. Hovering over the same exact layer. Right-click. Layer via cut. Delete the bottom layer. Gets rid of those black lines. It's really annoying. Now, really quickly as well, if you want to do like the little blurs I have in the other one as well, is I'll just take like a nice big one. Right? A nice big copy, and I'll just go ahead and go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and oh, you see how like the white bars or the black bars get annoying around the text as well when you blur it out? Like, it's a big deal when you have like a light color on another light color. It's pretty annoying. I'm making sure you get notice of it now, because it's a really make or break kind of thing, and you're probably like where does that even come from? It's coming from the render. There we go. And now if I put the Gaussian blur on it, there we go. It was not gonna look bad now. So you can do that as well. Just gonna erase a little bit around things. And there we go, right? Now we have our kind of like depth of stuff going on, right? Our depth of field going on, I guess you can say. Now the coolest part is actually making it look really nice and soft. Now the first thing you gotta do is, of course, add it's not a brightness and contrast, a gradient map. Now the gradient map that I'm using is this one right here. And the first color needs to be this nice little blue, kind of like baby blue, sky blue, whatever. And the hex code is 89AAD8. And of course, the second little thing right here is just a solid white. And all you got to do now is select your gradient map, change your blend mode from normal to screen, and basically take your opacity down and just lower it to about 60%. And right away, you can see it looks a lot more smooth. And really quickly as well, I'm going to throw in a vibrance. And now, as you can see in my example over here, my yellow is kind of like I guess pulled away. And all you got to do is click on your vibrance, go to your saturation, and lower your saturation a little bit. And it'll give you that little nice pull, right? You can see the difference of color, and if you bring it up, it looks really like, this kind of looks pretty cartoony, but also it can work. But this is also black and white, but I just want to pull the color away just a little bit. So I'll say negative 15 is pretty good. Excuse me. As for the vibrance, you can see what it's pretty much doing if I bring it up and down. It's kind of like changing color as well. I'll put my vibrance up about 5 or so. It'll still change or kind of like pull back my yellow just a little bit how I want it, as you can see when I turn it on and off, and that's perfect. That's how I want it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new layer. Take my brush here. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on solid white. Soft brush. Click at the top. It'll soften things up a little bit more as well. And also, do these things have black bars around it? Yes, they do. Oh, God. Let's make sure we fix that really quick. Select, modify, not expand, god dang it. Contract, okay. Right click, layer via cut, delete, perfect. Now, you can also do the little white, little splat kind of around other spots as well. Like I did it on the top. I can do it like, I don't know why I made another layer. I can do it like over here as well. Like I want to soften things up over here, like over there I want to soften up, I want to soften things up here, and then just lower the opacity down. And then literally, that's all you really got to do. It's really that easy. It's really dope. Also, you can also do this as well, though. Make a new layer right above the actual background layer. Make a pretty big layer here. A nice little white in the middle. Put it on overlay. And then just lower the opacity down. That can be like, you know, something you can do as well. That looks pretty good. And then you can also finish everything off with a brightness and contrast. You don't want to do anything dramatic because it also really changes things. Like, you don't want to let it. If your design looks like this, you messed it up, right? You messed it up with the color correction, or you didn't add your gradient map and put it on screen. So make sure you kind of keep that soft look. Kind of just figure out where you kind of want things. It's kind of like your final touch. If you don't want one, you don't have to have one in there. But basically, I'm just going to do something simple, like negative 2020. And I think this is perfect. This is how I want it. Maybe I'll even lower my opacity down to like 60%. Just to kind of like, you know, I'm all happy now inside, right? So this is it. That's basically it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to leave a like on today's video. 200 likes on the video equals a secret down below. If I do not actually end up putting my Lightroom in there, please let me know if you guys want it. Just like tell me. You guys saw my my materials and stuff like that. However, of course, 200 likes on the video equals a secret down below, which most will be the PSD of this video. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter at SesoHQ. Do not forget to subscribe, all that cool stuff. Do not forget to actually submit to the top 3 designs of the week number 4, and like just get seen by a couple thousand people. Why not, right? It's like you really do not have nothing to lose at all. And it's not really a competition. It's kind of like a kind of progressive thing. So whenever the hell you get on the actual top 3 designs, it might just be like a really dope day for you, right? So it's just a fun little project that I want to share around with you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so freaking much. Share the video if you guys wish to. Thank you guys a lot more, so much. Like I don't know why I say thank you a lot, but I do. So I'm gonna end the video off right here. Talk to you guys later. Seso out. Peace.